Number 9. Dashcam drama. Leo Prinsloo was driving an armored car full of expensive goods through the South African capital of Pretoria last year when a gang of shooters sprayed the vehicle with bullets. The 52-year-old former police sniper told his partner to get his gun out. He stayed shockingly calm as he said, "They're coming after us." The pair was transferring tens of thousands of dollars worth of cell phones when the attack occurred. Prinsloo remained impressively focused on getting to safety as bullets continued to hit the vehicle, cracking the window just inches from the man's face. At one point, a pickup truck came by and unloaded 6 men with assault rifles, and someone shot out a tire. Without missing a beat, Prinsloo deliberately rammed into the vehicle and continued driving. He sideswiped another truck that came by to deposit more shooters onto the ground and just kept going. The chase ended when he crashed into an Audi and disabled it in a hotel parking lot, causing the criminals inside to flee. Dashcam footage of the harrowing ordeal went viral, and it wasn't long before Prinsloo began receiving threats through text and on social media, saying things like, you will pay for blood with the money we didn't get." The man's employer stationed round-the-clock security guards outside his home in case the gang came after him. It was a smart move. In the weeks following the incident, there were many other attacks on armored cars, revealing just how determined the area's gangs were to get their hands on some valuables. Number 8. Heathrow heist. In one of the biggest inside job heists in British history, a pair of security guards staged a fake robbery in 2017 in order to steal money out of their own work van. The driver, Mohammed Sadiq, and his co-worker, Ranveer Singh, carried out the plot near Heathrow Airport, where Singh went to use a public bathroom. Sadiq drove away while Singh waited at least 20 minutes to let anyone from their workplace know that the van and driver were missing. By creating this delay, the masterminds prevented the company's control center from stopping the vehicle. It gave Sadiq a chance to transfer the 28 bags of cash from his work van to a waiting vehicle in a secluded parking lot. A few hours later, they found him in a ditch with his hands and feet bound by cable ties. Sadiq told police that someone had contacted him recently and threatened to burn down his house if he didn't cooperate with the plot. Cell phone evidence later proved that he was very much involved with the plan and had gone along with it willingly. They arrested the men, along with married couple Rafiqat Hussain and Razvan Azib, who helped mastermind the plot. They sentenced Sadiq and Singh to 6.5 years behind bars, while Hussain received a 10-year sentence. Number 7. Raining money. An armored truck was traveling along Interstate 5 near Carlsbad, California last year when its doors blew wide open, causing money to blow into the air and all over the road. Traffic came to a standstill as many drivers got out of their cars and made a mad dash for the bills, grabbing whatever they could. In the meantime, the truck driver tried to recover some of the money, but he realized his efforts were in vain and instead filmed what was going on around him. Footage of the frenzied free-for-all went viral on social media, but it wasn't all fun and games. One couple who allegedly scrambled for their piece of the pie accidentally locked themselves out of their vehicles, making it difficult for them to deny that they had taken any cash. They arrested them on suspicion of doing exactly that. Officers collected what was left of the money and warned anyone who had taken any bills to return them immediately. It's unclear how much cash they spilled, but one witness estimated that thousands of dollars covered the highway. Number 6. Vindictive victim. Just days into 2021, a Brinks armored truck driver named Jonah Bassard stopped at a gas station in Mobile, Alabama during his work shift. He went inside and grabbed a cup of coffee. Upon returning to his vehicle, 2 men held him up at gunpoint and threw him to the ground. They made off with nearly $500,000 in cash as Bassard aimed his gun in the general direction of the gateway car and fired a single shot. 3 days after the robbery, police got a warrant to search a storage unit belonging to Bassard. Inside, they found $120,000 in cash. Bassard admitted to the crime and also confessed that he had stolen another $134,000 since he started working for the company. On the day of the staged heist, he had gone against company policy by separating the larger denomination bills and putting them in a separate compartment where his accomplices knew where to retrieve them from. Bassard pleaded guilty to bank theft and received a 2-year prison sentence. He also had to pay back the more than $500,000 that he stole, and the judge recommended he attend a substance abuse program. Number 5. Instant millions. One morning in early 2021, 4 individuals approached an armored truck that had just stopped near an ATM in North Charleston, South Carolina. They pretended to rob the driver, James Edward Sewell, who was in on the plot, and drove off with $1.9 million in cash. Sewell initially told police he didn't know the 4 men who robbed him, but he eventually confessed and said that the group planned to meet up in Cedartown, Georgia, to divide the profits. FBI agents searched a property belonging to the family of suspect Quantavious Popeye Murphy and found $130,000 in cash. They traced the crime to 3 more suspects: Thomas Schooner Calhoun, Terry T.T. Pollard, and Anthony D. Trill Burge. Everyone except Sewell, who drove the armored truck, are members of the Folk Nation gang. 2 of the defendants have pleaded guilty relating to the phony heist and are awaiting sentencing. The 3 other suspects' cases are ongoing in court. Number 4. Confusing cold case. A little over 20 years ago, in late January 2002, a masked robber held up 2 armored truck drivers at gunpoint in Rutland City, Vermont. He forced them to give him the combination to the truck's safe and made off with nearly $2 million in cold, hard cash. The thief fled in a stolen van, which was later recovered. 2 decades later, however, the suspect's identity remains a complete mystery. Former Rutland City Mayor John Casarino recalled feeling shocked by how easy it was for the lone criminal to pull off the heist. The FBI helped with the investigation, which was far outside what local police were used to dealing with. But the case went cold as leads proved fruitless and polygraph exams ruled persons of interest out. In a 2003 interview with the local station WCAX, FBI agent John Kavanaugh said that the culprit was probably familiar with the area and with the company's operations. He also believed that someone out there knew who handled the heist. Casarino echoed Kavanaugh's statements, pointing out that he knew some of the company's employees and that some of them made him wonder. Rutland County Sheriff's Lieutenant Kevin Gino recently told WCAX that in his experience, nothing stays a secret forever. It's an optimistic outlook for what little detectives have to go on, but it doesn't really matter anyway. Both the state and federal statutes of limitations are up, so even if they identify a suspect, they can only charge them with tax fraud. Number 3. Ruthless robbery. Security guards were loading an ATM at a Bank of America branch one morning in Chicago last year when a stolen car with 4 people inside pulled up. 2 armed men exited the vehicle and approached the guards with weapons, demanding money. One suspect, 19-year-old Antoine Montgomery, tried to wrestle a case filled with at least $50,000 in cash out of a guard's hands. A third person got out of the car with a rifle, and all 3 of the suspects began shooting at the employees. They shot 47-year-old LaShonda Hart 6 times, and she was unfortunately killed. They also shot a 46-year-old guard twice, and it critically injured him, but he survived. A third employee, who was sitting in the armed vehicle during the robbery, was uninjured. The thieves failed to get away with any cash and fled the scene. A witness saw 2 of the suspects exit the getaway vehicle and get into an SUV, and jotted down the license plate number for police. Not even an hour after the botched ATM heist, Montgomery robbed a Boost mobile store, making off with some cash and a handful of cell phones. He tried but failed to access the store's safe and left. Later that day, they shot 2 of the ATM robbery suspects dead. Montgomery fled the scene with 21-year-old DeAndre Jennings. Police found them inside a building with the stolen cell phones, several weapons, and clothing matching the description of what the ATM thieves were wearing. A ballistics test connected at least 1 gun to the bullets found at the scene of the crime. Jennings and Montgomery face a laundry list of charges, including first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, armed robbery, attempted armed robbery, and aggravated unlawful restraint. They're being held without bail as their cases play out in court. Number 2. A big price to pay. 29-year-old Trayvon Sheldrick Poole was already on probation for robbing a bank when he robbed an armored truck in Willis, Texas in late 2019. He and 2 co-conspirators followed the vehicle out of Houston with plans to hold it up and make off with as much money as possible. Poole and fellow suspect Havante Parker ambushed an armed guard outside of a Chase bank, commanding him to back away from the cash that was in his possession. The guard began firing at the men to save his life. Park died at the scene, and Poole fled on foot. Detectives connected Poole to the crime through DNA and surveillance footage, along with cell phone and law enforcement records. They have convicted him for a previous bank robbery in 2017, when he approached an employee with a handwritten letter demanding money and threatening violence. They charged Poole with robbery, which is a second-degree felony. Even after reoffending, he remained probation eligible, giving a jury the ability to sentence him for anything from probation to life. They imposed a 50-year sentence, and he'll have to serve at least 25 years before becoming eligible for parole. Assistant District Attorney Adam McClain described Poole as a man who turned robbery into a day job and landed himself exactly where he belongs, behind bars for several decades, where he has plenty of time to reflect on his poor decisions. And number 1, Diabolical Duo. Kevin Jose Cruz Soliveras is a former professional boxer who let drugs take over his life. He committed a string of devastating home and business burglaries to support his habit, leaving a trail of destruction and trauma in his wake. Soliveras set fire to a restaurant which was so badly damaged that it never reopened, and a bowling alley which required significant and costly repairs. The crime spree ended one day in March 2020 when Cruz and 3 others tried to rob an armored car outside a bank in Waterloo, Iowa, when one of the man's co-conspirators brandished 2 pistols. A quick-thinking guard shot him dead. They soon apprehended the surviving suspects after they fled the scene. Cruz entered a plea agreement that came with a hefty 60-year sentence, which vastly exceeds the time his co-defendants face. He's required to serve at least 20 years before he becomes eligible for parole. Assistant County Attorney Brad Walls told the Waterloo Cedar Falls Courier that Cruz's sentence was approximately based on the number of crimes he committed and the amount of the resulting damage, and he may not be done with court as federal weapons charges loom. Cruz has accepted responsibility for his actions. At his sentencing, he apologized to the court, to his family, and to the people he hurt while carrying out his crimes. Cruz explained he grew up in a wonderful family, but addictions demoralized him. He said that he was remorseful, embarrassed, and ashamed, and that he can't say what he was thinking because he's not sure if he was thinking at all. Thanks for watching. Would you rather witness an armed robbery and have to testify against the suspects in court, or be mistaken for a burglary suspect who looks just like you? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to subscribe, and we'll see you soon.